Hello and welcome to this week's SCOBUF Sports Live Show. I'm Trent Finnegan.
And I'm Leo Rivera IV.
And how are we doing today, Leo?
We've had a very brisk, late spring window here with weather-wise, but I'm having a fantastic day. Yourself?
Very cold in Boulder, but I've had a good day. We're at the CU NFL Showcase earlier. We'll get to that later, but we start things off with very important news from football. Coach Prime is here to stay. Over the break, the Board of Regents agreed to a record-breaking contract extension to the 2029 season, giving Sanders a base salary of $10 million per year, adding on to the original 5-year, nearly $30 million contract he first signed in 2022. Deion has the opportunity to rake in an astounding $54 million over the next 5 years. This new agreement makes Sanders the highest-paid coach in the Big 12 and top 10 in the country.
And earlier this week, we asked around campus to see how some students were feeling after the news of the big contract.
In 1994, Deion Sanders came up with his hit single, Must Be the Money. But 31 years later, Coach Prime still says, must be the money.
While most people on campus over spring break were catching up on their sleep, Coach Prime inked a $54 million contract that should keep him here another 5 years. But how does the average CU Boulder student feel about their highest paid official's new contract?
I think he's done a lot for the program and really built up just not just like the football program, but kind of like the school in general.
Whether it's the Prime effect or not, applications for the fall 2024 semester had a 20% increase with 68,000 applications.
Just overall as a school, it's getting more people coming and just bringing a huge community together in Boulder.
While that's good and all for the school, what about the football side?
I'm tired of losing, so I know Deion will help us win some more games.
However, one student thinks the amount of cheddar he's getting is flat out ridiculous.
I think that it's a little silly to pay him that much.
Deion stated at the start of his tenure that he would restore the program to its former glory. So the real question is, can he do it with the new extension?
What was it early 90s, 80s since we won our last championship? I feel like Deion's our best shot of ever getting back to that same level of competition.
As Colorado football gears up for the 2025 season, Coach Prime will be rolling the big bucks, but only time will tell if the investment is worth it. Xavier McNivitz, SCOBUF Sports.
Thanks, Xavier. With that, we also have the details of Coach Prime's newest extension. Deion Sanders will get a substantial bonus for each major milestone he reaches while in Boulder. These landmarks include $100,000 for each additional win after 9 wins in a regular season, $150,000 for a Big 12 championship appearance, and $400,000 for making the college football playoff. If he chooses to leave CU before the end of this year, his buyout will be for $12 million, decreasing to $3 million by 2029. That number will decrease by $2 million each season. Sanders is also allowed to retire at any time without penalty as long as he does not join another team after that. It's now time for this week's Buff Banter with Mia and Colby with some insight on this contract.
Hey Buff fans, you're here for Buff Banter today with Mia Driscoll and Colby Wyatt. We're here to talk about Coach Prime's record-breaking contract extension through 2029. Colby, get us started with some of your thoughts about that.
Yeah, well, let's just get the facts out of the way. 5 years, $54 million. Starts out getting paid $10 million a year, and that'll increase every year. And then the buyout, on the flip side, will
Hey Buff fans, you're here for Buff Banter today with Mia Driscoll and Colby Wyatt. We're here to talk about Coach Prime's record-breaking contract extension through 2029. Colby, get us started with some of your thoughts about that.
Yeah, well, let's just get the facts out of the way. 5 years, $54 million. Starts out getting paid $10 million a year, and that'll increase every year. And then the buyout, on the flip side, will decrease every year. It starts off at $12 million, and it'll decrease to the end. Last year, the buyout will only be $3 million, which is important, something I'm sure we'll talk about throughout this whole segment, because every year that he's with us, the odds of him leaving us will get more likely because of that decreased buyout.
Yeah, totally. And that is something that has been the bigger concern is with that buyout going down, he has less reason to stay here. And that's another thing that we've talked about is Colorado didn't initially have the funds to pay him this big of a contract. Number one highest paid coach in the Big 12. And as we look at what he's brought to this program, $99 million in revenue. There's been some that even say that this is not just deserving, but that he's deserved more. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I don't know if I'd say he deserved more. I mean, 4th highest paid in the nation, highest paid in Big 12. I don't think he needs any more, especially when we look at the fact that he's only been with us for a couple years. There's concerns. Have we reached our peak? Are we only going to get worse? Can he make us better? If he can't make us better, then I don't think the money is quite worth it.
Obviously, that turnaround from his first season to his second season, we can see that he wants to be here, at least for right now. We can see the drive that he's instilled in these players, national prominence brought back to this program. Our athletic director is clearly very excited about the future. What else do you think that would keep him here? As we lose Travis Hunter, as we lose Shedeur, we lose these big draft picks. How do we see the recruitment increase from that big contract? We see the players that are more encouraged to come here with him, supposedly staying here longer.
Well, I mean, frankly, I think he wants to stay here. He said multiple times that he likes it here. He wants to be here, and the only really reason he'd leave is to coach his son in the NFL, his son's in the NFL. And so unless an opportunity like that arises, I really don't think we have anything to worry about. Of course, there are things that the college can do, like NIL funds, things like that, stuff to make his life just a little easier, make him do his job better, just things like that. But I do think he wants to be here, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that the recruiting aspect of it is huge because that shows the players, whereas before it was a question of, is this a one and done? Is this, he's just here for Shedeur, as you mentioned. And now we can see that he really is trying to build something here. You know, one of the bonuses that he gets is for a Big 12 championship appearance, for a college football playoff appearance, for National Coach of the Year appearance. So those are put in the contract with the expectation that those are achievable, and those are things that he's considering and the school is considering.
Yeah, and I mean, well, first we got to take a step back. Something you mentioned, the recruiting. Is his ability to recruit going to increase? Because obviously we're still getting all the transfers, all the transfers that he wants. But if you talk about freshmen, stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, we're getting those, but will we ever get those on the same level as top programs in the nation? Like, I mean, Oregon, Alabama stuff. I mean, that's a high goal, but you just have to wonder, will his ability to recruit high schoolers kind of increase?
Yeah, and I think that's something we've seen with just his personality is something that draws people here. You know, he's very outspoken. He has this persona around him, and that is super attractive, especially to young players with the NIL, making a name for themselves. That is something that comes with going here. You know, we have the handles on the back of the practice jerseys. That is something that he certainly brings to the table that I don't think other programs necessarily do. And that is part of where he's brought so much of that revenue is the media side of it that he really plays into, I think.
Yeah, of course. And he's done so much for not just the football program, but the school. He's done so much. He's increased, the application rates. He's increased the school revenue. The town of Boulder, he's increased the town of Boulder's revenue. So much great stuff. So at the end of the day, if we're talking about the contract, making him the 4th highest paid, and even including all those things like the decreasing buyouts, I'm still happy with it because I think we wouldn't be here without him. Our football program wouldn't be here without him. I think we need him for at least a couple more years. This contract makes me happy.
I agree. How long do you see him for? Going through 2029?
I wouldn't be surprised if you came from the future, told me he retires here. I wouldn't be surprised, but then at the same time, I give him at least 3 years. After 3 years, I'm nervous about it.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Love to see that happen.
Yeah, but I think that's about all I have to say on the subject. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you for watching our Buff Banner, and I'm Colby Wyatt. This is Mia Driscoll, and back to you at the desk.
Keeping with our theme of Coach Prime, let's look at his impact outside of football in Boulder. Since arriving, student population is up to 67,000, a 20% increase from a year ago. Out-of-state applicants are up 18%, and applicants who identify as Black or African American are up 50.5%. Lots of diversity coming to CU. A total of $93.9 million in direct economic impact to the city of Boulder has been reported by CU. The Prime effect is real and isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
And speaking of the Prime effect, we saw it on full force today at the CU NFL Showcase where they had the whole "we ain't hard to find" everywhere. This was not your normal pro day. Members from all 32 NFL teams were there. The owner of the Cleveland Browns was there. There were multiple GMs. It was an event for sure. There was so many people. There was a lot of lot of great stuff. Obviously, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders were the spotlight, but you want to start with those two, or was there something else that caught your eye from that?
You know, it was kind of a surreal experience, but of course, getting to see Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders up close and personal one last time in Boulder, something special, Trent, and I know it's going to be something me and you both remember moving forward, as those are two of the best to ever do it in the blocking.
And Shedeur Sanders completed 58 of his 63 passes today through a couple, and 3 of those were drops, so really 58 of 60. A couple of beautiful deep balls to Will Shepherd, to Jimmy Horn. Travis didn't really run a whole lot of deep routes, but he didn't do a lot. Travis and Shedeur also only did routes and throws, no 40s, no 3-cone shuttle, none of that. But people who did do those more common combine drills was the linemen. Was there any linemen that caught your eye today?
Definitely. If you look at Chidozie Nwankwo, who did bench press, putting up 30 reps would have put him at number 1 of all defensive
That was
tackles
an impressive.
in the
That was an
combine.
impressive performance.
Not only that, just his 40 times explosion. We saw Justin Myers get up there with a 32.5-inch vertical with long arms for that offensive lineman, knowing his skill, being able to play both sides. See a lot of the depth that CU has.
That vertical was higher than a lot of the receivers.
It was, which is pretty phenomenal. Even like a linebacker, Levante Bentley, he got up higher than him at 300+ pounds. Extremely impressive.
And Coach Prime said today that he doesn't think that there should be a question. Travis and Shedeur should be 1 and 2. He said that those guys have the least amount of risk of any prospect in the draft. A lot of mock drafts have them both going in the top 5, with the most recent one, I don't know if you saw by ESPN, had Shedeur going number 3 to the New York Giants, Travis Hunter going number 4 to the New England Patriots. We did see Shedeur talking with Giants general manager Joe Schoen and their head coach Brian Daboll. We saw him back in Heisman season. He was playing catch with Malik Neighbors out in the streets of Manhattan. So Shedeur to the Big Apple, do we think?
There's a lot of links there, Trent, and of course we've seen the cleats in the locker room too.
The blue cleats from the Alamo Bowl.
So many, comparisons there. But we also did see a lot of extensive conversations with the Cleveland Browns and Shedeur Sanders as well. So definitely a lot of interest from these top NFL teams, and just a lot of personnel and media in attendance who are all interested. All eyes on Colorado.
And a lot of the people flying in for today's showcase was saying how they were excited to come to beautiful Boulder, Colorado. Not so beautiful today. Guess they're gonna have to come back for a game next year. Maybe get game day, big noon kickoff or whatnot. But definitely was a one-of-a-kind pro day, one-of-a-kind event. Big success for CU and their players, I thought. And we'll see what happens. Draft is just under 3 weeks away now. So,
yes, Trent, most definitely it is a super exciting time to be in Boulder, Colorado. But it is now time for this week's trivia question. With less than 3 weeks until the NFL draft, where Shedeur, Travis Hunter are potential top 5 overall picks, our question this week is, who was the last Buff taken in the top 5? Stay tuned for our answer later in the show.
more changes are coming to Folsom Field. The school announced that the team will ditch its real grass for an artificial alternative. This news comes as a shock, as CU's played on real grass since 1998. However, the move gives the team an opportunity to host December football games and more events throughout the entire football season.
In Buffs news, Chidobe Awuzie has found himself a new home. The tenured Buff cornerback has finally found a spot with the Baltimore Ravens on a one-year deal. What's notable about this is Chidozie spoke on wanting to go to a Super Bowl contender, and it appears with quarterback Lamar Jackson, he has found himself in a position to do so.
It's no April Fool's joke. The men's basketball season has officially come to an end this past Tuesday on the 1st of April. They took a rough L to the Villanova Wildcats in Las Vegas. They were competing in the first round of the inaugural College Basketball Crown Tournament. They're giving anyone a tournament these days, losing 85-64. This loss ends the season for the seniors graduating and now has us questioning, what is Tad Boyle's team going to look like next year?
Definitely a lot of questions, but the Buffs are going to have an interesting rebuilding season. We're saying goodbye to seniors Julian Hammond III, Trevor Baskin, and Andrei Yakimovsky as they graduate. There are 5 players that have entered the transfer portal in addition to them so far this offseason. RJ Smith, Harrison Carrington, Courtney Anderson, Junior Javon Ruffin, and Ashawn Jobe. So how will this play out next season? We're just going to have to wait and see.
We have some great alumni news out of the NBA this week. Buffs alum and current Boston Celtic Derek White has made over 245 three-pointers this season. With that, he passes Isaiah Thomas for the most three-pointers made in a single season in Celtics history. An even more notable stat, however, is that his teammates Jason Tatum and Peyton Pritchard are right behind him at 7 and 9 threes away, respectively. On a team with one of the best stars in NBA history, White now sits above them as the all-time three-point record holder. That's great news for CU. It's fun stuff.
It is. The women's team also spent at home last week. The Buffs made it to the 3rd round before their tournament run was cut short at the hands of the Gonzaga Bulldogs. More info, here is Xavier McNevitz from the game over break.
Thanks, Xavier. Since Colorado's lost to Gonzaga, 4 players have entered the transfer portal, while 2 others announced they will stick around for next season. Guards Aaron Powell and Lova Lagerlid, along with forwards Grace Oliver and Aiyana Johnson, will continue their careers elsewhere, while forwards Jade Masagayo and Tabitha Betson will remain in Boulder. Powell, Lagerlid, and Oliver were 3 of Colorado's freshmen last season, while Johnson spent her sophomore year at CU after transferring in from the Minnesota Golden Gophers last spring. Coach J.R. Payne will have some digging to do to fill 6 roster spots.
While the rest of CU enjoyed a much-needed spring break, women's lacrosse was all business. The Buffs traveled to Houston, Texas to take on the number 16 ranked Dartmouth Big Green. As they do every game, the Buffs made their presence known early, putting up 4 goals in the first quarter. The Big Green dominated early in the second with 3 back-to-back goals. Colorado headed into the locker room down by 1 at halftime, but emerged eager to pull off another upset. After a scoreless third quarter, Maddie Shoup and Kendall Havel narrowed the gap to 1. Dartmouth's defense was too much for the Buffs to handle as they left Houston in losing fashion, dropping the game 11-9.
The Buffs played in sunny San Diego over break to start Big 12 play. The match was a thriller as Colorado came in hot, putting up 5 goals in the first quarter alone. Their momentum didn't slow down as they put up 7 more goals in the second. Graduate attacker Madeline Pisani recorded her 4th hat trick of the season, scoring 7 goals and 2 assists. A late comeback attempt by the Aztecs in the 4th quarter proved ineffective as the Buffs walked away with a 16-12 victory.
After opening up their conference play last week against San Diego State, 2 Buffs were named Big 12 weekly honors. Junior defender Jess Peluso earned her 4th conference honor as graduate attacker Madeline Pisani received her 2nd. Peluso was named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week and Pisani was named Attacker of the Week. These are the 7th and 8th weekly honors for the Buffs and the 5th week in a row that the Black and Gold have landed a Player of the Week honor.
Women's lacrosse now heads to Tempe to face the Sun Devils down in the sun. Arizona State has posted an 8-5 record with a dub in conference. Colorado and ASU are familiar Pac-12 foes, with this being their 12th meeting all time. The Buffs are coming off their first conference win against San Diego State. CU will have to face a tough defense against the Sun Devils, who have the best save percentage in the entire Big 12. The team is also looking for their 2nd road win of the season.
Hey Buff fans, I'm Kieran Walker bringing you this week's top 5 plays in Colorado sports. Yes, you heard that right. We have 5 plays for you this week. We're keeping it nice and consistent here on SBS, but enough yapping. We're getting right into it, starting off with our number 5 spot. We go to the WBIT tournament as the Buffs took on Gonzaga. And Jade Masagayo lays this one in off that beautiful pass from Kendall Wetta. But we go into our number 4 spot here, Southeast Louisiana, the game before that Gonzaga game. Long pass from Kendall Wetta up to Jade Masagayo, and she lays that one in. Man, Wetta should be in pro day at this point. We go into our number 3 spot here. Tabitha Benson, little pass there to Jade Masagayo, and that's bounced off the rim, and it goes in. We were not sure if that one was going to go in, but it did. We go into our number 2 spot here. Women's lacrosse in the Big 12 opener against San Diego State, and Bella Reese gets her first career goal as a Buffalo. What a way to open off Big 12 play. We go to our number 1 spot here. Derek White and the Boston Celtics, CU alum. He's going to launch this 3 right here. And ladies and gentlemen, that is 246 season 3s for Derek White on the Celtics. What a beauty there, and you already know he's making his Buffaloes proud back here in Boulder. But that's going to do it for our Plays of the Week this week here on ScoBuff Sports. I'm Kieran Warger, and we will see you all after the break.
Welcome to Folsom Feud. I'm your host, Colby, here with 3 contestants today, Lincoln, Balin, and Kieran. Lincoln, start us off.
I'll take game day etiquette for 200.
All right. This is the best way to show respect during the CU fight song.
What is standing, singing loud, and raising your hand in the hook 'em horn sign?
Not what we're looking for. Balin, you have an answer?
What is stand up, sing loud, and do the Ralphie horns?
Correct. Balin, the board is yours.
Give me tailgate traditions for 400.
All right, here's the answer. The must-have item to wear on game day to show your Buff pride. Kieran?
What is black and gold?
That's correct. Nothing says school spirit like those 2 colors. Choose the next one.
Let's do fan etiquette for 600.
Fan etiquette. The proper response when you hear someone yell, "Go Buffs."
What is Skull Buffs?
Skull Buffs is right. Looks like we've got some true Buffs fans here. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to our contestants, and see you next time.
The struggles continue for the tennis team in Big 12 play. They faced off against the Cincinnati Bearcats this morning. The match was nothing short of a struggle as the Buffs lost the doubles point and followed with 4 of the 6 singles matches, giving a final score of 5-1. That team stays on the road for a match against West Virginia early on Sunday at 9 a.m.
Unfortunately, the track and field team will not compete this weekend after a flurry of snowstorms have visited Boulder. CU was supposed to be hosting the Jerry Quiller Classic this weekend. However, due to inclement weather, it was canceled. This was supposed to be the only meet hosted by CU this spring, so it's a little bit detrimental to the program, but the team will be back in action next weekend at the Kit Mayer Classic, hosted by the Colorado School of Mines.
Now out to the links. The men's golf team finished second at the Goodwin Classic in Palo Alto. This squad has now claimed 6 podium finishes and ranks 27th in the nation. Senior Ty Holbrook was the only Buffalo to score under par at the tournament. The Buffs' 5-over second round made it virtually impossible for them to compete for the number 1 spot on the final day. Today is the first day of the Mason Rudolph Championship in Franklin, Tennessee. Colorado will stay in Tennessee until Sunday to play the second and third rounds and try and get their swagger back.
Well, the women's golf squad starts their Chevron Silverado showdown on Monday. The team has not competed in 3 weeks since their 9th place finish in Austin. The Buffs are currently ranked 66th in the nation. This is Colorado's last tournament before competing in the Big 12 Championship, and the team could use some much-needed momentum heading into the biggest event of the season.
It's rivalry week for Colorado Club Baseball. The Buffaloes are across enemy lines this weekend for a 3-game series with the Colorado State Rams. CU has 5 wins and 5 losses on the season, while being 4-2 in Mid-America West play. The Rams are 9-2 this spring and were ranked 25th in the latest NCBA Now poll. First pitch from snowy Fort Collins is set for tonight at 6, with a doubleheader tomorrow at noon and 2 p.m.
Brr. After a long start to the season, CU men's club lacrosse begins conference play this weekend. Earlier today, the Buffs hosted the Utah Tech Trailblazers at Kittredge Field. It was a blowout 22-3 victory for Colorado. Conference play continues this Sunday as the Buffs take on rival Utah. The number 18 ranked Utes currently hold a 5-2 record on the season. Catch Sunday's game live right here on Sco Buff Sports.
And it's a busy weekend for Colorado Women's Club Lacrosse as well as they host the Mile High Tournament in Boulder. Better hope it gets warmer for that one. As we speak, the Black and Gold are facing the Notre Dame Fighting Irish on Kittredge Field. They currently sit as the number 2 ranked team in the MWLL. Saturday will be a busy day for the Buffs, who take on the Michigan Wolverines at noon on the lower turf, followed by Duke at 5 p.m. on Kitt Field. Sunday will close out the weekend as the tournament hosts face a tough Boston College team at 9:30 a.m. on Kitt Field. Once again, catch the action live right here on Sco Buff Sports.
As we get ready for another week of outdoor athletics, let's bring in Zachary Giesenslaw with today's weather outlook.
And I'm here with your weekend weather forecast for all of our home games going on here in Boulder. We do have a rather light weekend this weekend with just a handful of club games that are going to be going on. So starting off, we're going to have Women's Club Lacrosse playing versus Michigan. They're going to be playing on Saturday at 2. We're looking at first draw here. We're looking at about 40 degrees, probably going to be on the cloudier side. Once we get towards the middle of the game, towards halftime, we're still going to be looking at around that same 40 to 40 degrees. Hopefully the sun might poke out for a little bit, which would obviously be wonderful to see as we head into spring here. And then for the very end of the game, we're going to be looking closer to 42 degrees. Hopefully warms up a little bit. We're hopefully going to be seeing some more sun shining there for hopefully a nice Saturday, spring Saturday here in Boulder. Moving on, we're going to be just looking at Women's Club Lacrosse again, who are going to be playing Notre Dame. At first draw, closer to 6 p.m., we're going to be looking at 40 degrees or so, probably still going to be on the cloudier side. As we head into halftime, we're going to be looking closer to 38 degrees. Temperature's probably going to drop a little bit, still probably going to be looking cloudy there. And then towards the end of the game, hopefully the sky will be clearing out a little bit. You might be able to see some of the moon out there. We're going to be looking at 36 degrees, seeing the temperature drop yet again for a chilly evening here in Boulder. Then moving on again, we have Women's Club Lacrosse versus Boston College. They're going to be playing bright and early on Sunday at 9:30 in the morning. At first draw, we're looking like we're going to be probably close to 32 degrees or so. Still probably pretty cloudy throughout the entirety of this game. And then moving on to halftime, we're going to be seeing still 33 degrees. Temperature is going to be rising a little bit throughout this game. Still pretty cloudy, still pretty overcast. And then for the very end, we're going to be looking at around 36 degrees. Still cloudy, still overcast for what will probably be a pretty typical gloomy spring day here in Boulder. And then finally, we have Men's Club Lacrosse versus Utah, who's going to be playing the same day, Sunday, at 2 p.m. And with our first draw, it's looking like temperature's going to be rising a little bit with 52 degrees, still cloudy as in the aforementioned game. Closer to halftime, we're going to be looking at 54 degrees, still cloudy, not a lot else to say there. And then for the very end of the game, rounding out our weather for the weekend, we're going to be looking at 52 degrees, just a little bit cooler than at halftime there. Still bringing up the end of a rather chilly, gloomy day here in Boulder. Anyways, that about does it for our weekend forecast here. I'm Zachary Giesenstahl with Sco Buff Sports, and we'll head back to you guys back at the desk.
Here we see Xavier McNevitz working on his reader for the live show. If we didn't have these readers done by Thursday night, chances are we would not be airing this show right now. Be like Xavier. Get your readers done. And don't forget to click save so that you don't lose any of your hard-earned work.
Hey Buffs, happy Friday. Unfortunately, there are no home games this week. The track team was supposed to host the Jerry Quiller Classic today and tomorrow, but the event was canceled due to inclement weather. The tennis squad matched up against the University of Cincinnati this morning. The Bearcats won 2 out of the 3 doubles matches, putting the Buffs behind early. The same trend followed in the singles matches, with Cincinnati winning 4 of the 6 and taking the team win. The team then travels to Morgantown, West Virginia on Sunday for another match. Colorado is 0-4 when playing in conference match on the road. Either match against the Bearcats or Mountaineers would be a great opportunity for the Buffs to get that first win. The men's golf team started the Mason Rudolph Championship earlier today. The tournament in Franklin, Tennessee will be played over 3 days, finishing on Sunday. The Buffs are looking for their 8th podium finish and 2nd win of the season. The women's golf squad starts the Chevron Silverado Showdown on Monday in Napa, California. Colorado has had 3 weeks off since their last tournament. A strong showing from the Buffs would build confidence heading into the Big 12 Championship on April 15th. On Sunday, the lacrosse team will take on Arizona State in Tempe, Arizona at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Both squads started their Big 12 campaigns with wins. Colorado holds an 8-3 series record between the schools and have won the last 3 meetings. That's all I have for you today. I'm Matt Spivak with this week's Rapid Fire.
It's now time for the answer to this week's trivia question. I know Leo's been waiting for this one. To remind you, our question was, who was the last Buff to be taken in the top 5 in the NFL draft? And the answer is Michael Westbrook. Westbrook was the number 4 overall pick in the 1994 NFL draft, a legendary wide receiver for the Buffaloes.
It's time for this week's Tweet of the Week. Our tweet comes from our very own Harrison Simeon, who shared local fan favorite and Broncos coach Sean Payton attending CU's Pro Day. We'll find out later this month if any one of these Buffs caught Payton's eye.
Now, I know you and we saw Peyton was chatting with Will Shepard. Peyton was chatting with B.J. Green. Peyton was chatting with Shedeur. They're going to trade up for – I'm kidding. They're not going to trade up for Shedeur. But Travis Hunter in orange and blue, Mile High Stadium wouldn't look too bad. But that's it for this week's live show. We thank you all for tuning in. I'm Trent Finnegan here with Leo Rivera, and you heard it here first.